U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
I think that is a great term to describe this thing that we're about to talk about, which is that, so of course, the Republicans don't like Kamala. You know, they don't want her to be in office. She's a black woman. She's also South Asian, I think. And I mean,
what do you mean with headlines? What I did? The Gaza has polio? What do you mean?
she's a woman, which is a big part of it too. But like what they see when they look at her is a black woman, you know, similar with like Obama is half white, but people are like, oh, he's the first black president. Cause like, I guess that's the rules. If you have even slightly dark skin,
Thanks,
it's like the one
Obama.
drop rule, whatever. Like you are racially considered black. Anyway, so the Republicans are trying to come up with reasons to say that Kamala is not eligible to be president. Okay, so this is
oh my God.
a memorandum. I'm going to go ahead and say it's a resolution. It's a memo from the National Federation of Republican Assemblies, the NFRA. They have apparently unanimously adopted the position that Kamala Harris is ineligible to be president based on several things. And we're going to focus in on one of them. So, whereas, oh my God, it was bigger before. The constitutional qualifications for presidential eligibility as written in Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 5 states, no person except a natural-born citizen shall be eligible or a citizen of the United States at the time of adoption of this constitution.
Their layout here is fucking cool.
Right?
I like this. This is neat. I like this.
That's when you get enough fans. There's creative ones.
Oh, they do it for them.
I mean, a lot of times, yeah. I mean,
Mm.
most of the time they don't pay for it.
Interesting. I mean, we do have the Fiverr affiliate link that I haven't figured out what we want to do with yet. Talking about that, use our ground news one. It's great. It's excellent. Pay for it. Help us get money.
I'll be eligible to the office of
Bad at
president.
ads.
Whereas an originalist
I
and
like
strict
doing it.
constructionist understanding of the Constitution in the Scalia and Thomas tradition, as well as precedent-setting U.S. Supreme Court cases cited below, have found that a, quote, natural-born citizen is defined as a person born on American soil of parents who are both citizens of the United States at the time of the child's birth. So I think that this is actually not how we do things now. I think the way that we do things now is like your parents don't have to be citizens of the United States. If you come here, if your parents come here and you are born here, you are automatically granted citizenship.
Yeah, it's called anchor babies. Isn't that what they're called? Well, that's like the slur term for them.
Yeah.
Something like that. Because that is an actual thing, isn't it? That if you're it's like they some people will try and fly there so they have the kid there. Like that's an actual thing that happens, I'm pretty sure. Or it did happen at some point. I'm almost certain that's an actual thing and not an urban legend or like a myth or something.
Sure. But crossing the border pregnant is pretty crazy.
It is. It's insane. And I assume that most of them fly in at like 8 months and stay at 7 months or something. And
well,
like,
I mean, this
stay.
depends. I don't know.
Russians, yeah, that's
I don't know anything about it.
What would I have heard as well? Sort of Eastern European.
But
I imagine
this is what
I imagine it started happening during the Cold War is probably what it was, and it was probably pushed as a thing to do in America for Russians wanting to flee the Soviet Union, I imagine.
they're trying to push back on. So they do cite the Dred Scott v. Sanford case, which we will get into in a minute. If you don't know what that is,
Also,
pause.
people listening.
Yes,
go.
Do you know the case? Or were you not listening?
Which one? Sorry, I was distracted because I'm curious about my levels and how it's coming through.
Okay, go
for
back.
People listening.
So they do cite the Dred Scott v. Sanford case, which we will get into in a minute.
which
If you don't
is-
know what that is,
which
I
is-
was not
Which
intimately familiar.
is one of the most famous despicable cases of all time.
I can't specifically name it, no.
Dred Scott was a slave who sued his master for his own freedom, and the Supreme
right.
Court overturned it.
Overturn the decision.
Yes, the Dred
Yeah.
Scott decision.
So they referenced the Dred Scott decision.
Yes.
incredible. Fucking incredible.
Familiar with what that is? We're going to get into it in a minute. So they say several states, candidates, and major political parties have ignored this fundamental presidential qualification, including candidates Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Kamala Harris, whose parents were not citizens at the time of their birth. So parents were not citizens at the time of their birth is kind of that's the thing that they're really going with here. But they cited the Dred Scott decision, which is the one that we're going to highlight here. The Dred Scott decision was, I'm on the Britannica website. So it was a legal case where the Supreme Court ruled that a slave who had resided in a free state and territory where slavery was prohibited was not thereby, entitled to his freedom, that African Americans were not and never could be citizens of the United States, and that the Missouri Compromise, which had declared free all territories west of Missouri and north of latitude 3630, was unconstitutional. So basically, they're citing a court case. So this is like, by legal scholars, this is considered to be like the worst Supreme Court case ever. Like, this is the worst Supreme Court decision ever, according to scholars. Because part of this is that African Americans could never be citizens of the United States, effectively. And if you go into the background of this, a little bit more details, look at it. It's been cited in particular as the most egregious example in the court's history of wrongly imposing a judicial solution on a political problem. Famously, this has been characterized as the court's greatest, quote, self-inflicted wound. So if you go into it, it's about a slave who was owned by someone in Missouri named Dred Scott. The enslaved man was called Dred Scott. And
I was going to say, wasn't the slave's name Dred Scott? Because I was confused there for a second.
The person who claimed to own him took him to some other states like Illinois and the Wisconsin territory. And they were like, he was like, the Dred Scott ended up suing later to be like, because I have been in a free state where slavery is illegal, I can't be a slave anymore, basically. And so that's what this has worked up to. That's why this worked up to the Supreme Court, because things went back and forth with the Missouri Supreme Court. And actually the Missouri Supreme Court in this case undid one of its long-standing precedents.
What the fuck? What is it? What is going on? Hold on. Boomers, okay. They felt like tourists in their own country. Sure, bro. They never had to listen to horror stories about someone they knew. Sure, bro. Sure. Yes, they did. They were just all white people at this point, and now it's been overblown. So now you think that it's more immigrants because of the epistemic bubbles that you're in. You fucking moron. Get a grip.
Called once free, always free. So the Missouri had this long-standing doctrine of once you've been freed, you can't be enslaved again, which is so a lower state court declared that Scott is a free man based on his
Also, buddy, immigration into Europe was under 500,000 a year, just so you're aware. That's Europe has a population of 700 billion. Literally irrelevant numbers, you fucking moron.
Having traveled to states where slavery was illegal. Because it's so weird. This the fact that you could own slaves in Missouri and then go to Illinois with your enslaved person and to a place where slavery is illegal and have that not be your slave should be freed at that point. It makes the most sense that it's no, this is illegal here. So you can't keep me as a possession in this state where it's illegal. Mitternacht and I are here to ask.
It's genuinely funny when people you don't understand the younger generation. The younger generation is going to be somehow more Nazi-ish because of some right-wing epistemic bubbles that they think is reality, because they live in a warped unreality that doesn't actually exist. Everybody else is just living their life,
you.
not giving a fuck.
He doesn't know what you're saying.
I know. He should look up what an epistemic bubble is and then shut the fuck
There's
up.
nothing going on up there.
You
That one.
to hit like on the video. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.
I don't want
Subscribe. Click the bell if you
We're
feel like
leaving
it.
thoughts.
You don't have to though. Feel free to check out the other
You'll have
links
to
in the
watch us,
description
though.
because I sell merch like this cute tank top. I'm running a GoFundMe to try to move 2,000 miles across the country to a place where I have rights. And I have a Patreon with he's smashing his face against my face.
Fair enough.
So I just thought that this was really funny.
It's a bit see, and this is why I don't want to ask for money to relocate to the US, is because I don't feel like
We'll get
my
you.
ask is
We'll get you a work visa. Just wait.
like I just don't feel like my ask is worth people's time.
We'll give you a work visa. It'll be
But-
easy.
Mm.
And like, obviously it's very serious, but it's very funny that they're basically like this Republican organization is saying like, because of this court case, which is considered the worst in all of American history, as far as the Supreme Court goes, which declared that no person of African descent, like no African Americans, no Black people can ever be citizens of the United States. That's what
Didn't
That's
ask.
cool.
Didn't
That's
ask.
cool, bro.
Didn't
I don't care
ask.
about your anecdotal evidence. It's not
Didn't
evidence.
ask.
They
Didn't
aren't
ask.
the only option. But we'll get
Didn't
there.
ask.
Don't worry.
Didn't ask.
You can
the
stay.
Didn't ask.
federal
Just leave us out of your
ruling
weird
was
hobbies.
at that time. Like the law of the land across this entire nation officially
Did not ask.
was that Black people cannot be citizens of the United States. So it's like, not only are they saying that there is a very strict interpretation of the law that you could say is like a natural born citizen is defined as a person who's born on American soil and both of their parents are citizens of the United States, because Kamala's
When you're
parents were
tweeting
not both
about we don't need gun
American
control, we
citizens
need
when
cracker
she was born
control,
here.
are you meaning we
But,
need
like,
to get
not
the
only
white folks
that,
under
but
control?
also, because she's Black, she can't be a citizen.
fuck?
Are they aiming to reinstate?
What?
That was weird. Was I pausing that? The soundbite.
Sounded fine to me. You want to play it again?
When you're tweeting about we don't need gun control, we need cracker control,
it.
are you meaning we need to get the white folks under control?
Is that me? Is it stopping for you?
No.
What the fuck?
slavery? I wouldn't put it past Republicans
Weird.
too. Okay, here's the deal.
Shit's weird today.
Slavery is legal as punishment for a crime.
Yes, it is.
Slavery has never been fully gotten rid of.
No, it
We
hasn't.
have slavery. That's why Black people are disproportionately imprisoned for committing the same crimes as white people. Because, and that's like the whole concept behind the school to prison pipeline, which you may have heard that phrase before.
Yeah.
The whole idea there, the whole concept is slavery, chattel slavery is not legal. But if you convict someone of committing a crime, slavery is on the table. So when we're looking at like who is being imprisoned at what rates, slavery is legal, and it still disproportionately impacts Black people and other people of color. Like anybody who's brown, really. Yeah, Trump can't wait to deport all the quote illegals. That's one of the things that we covered in the Project 2025 video is like they're trying to control language by calling these people
Mass
undocumented instead of
deportation.
illegals. Like,
That'd be great.
I mean, mostly the reason that Democrats have made that change is because calling them illegals is like
Dope
dehumanizing
haircut, though,
and
right?
it renders them.
Sure, if that's your thing. It's probably more your thing.
Mohawks?
Just different haircuts. Mine's pretty standard. All right, we're moving on.
You are looking at
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?